strong opinions about some stuff that took place. And one of the things that that was really interesting was the Proctor and Gamble commercial. And I'm trying to find it. Here we go. I'm going to upload it and in hopes that we have it in time for you to listen to. So the Proctor and Gamble commercial, wow. This commercial depicts different situations that black people go through every day. Let's just call it what it is. One showed a woman hoping that her son came home. And I mean, honestly, looking at the news, what woman would not worry about their black child coming home? I mean, like, come on. You had so many unarmed black deaths of non-threatening black men and young women. I mean, like, come on. The little girl in Chicago who was shot in the head and because the cop thought that she was a gangster. This is a little teeny Ayanna Jones, but 5 years old, shot in the head by a cop while she was at her grandmama's house because they went to the wrong house and they justified it by saying we saw the teddy bear move. We thought she had a weapon. Really? So honestly, I can understand why Procter and Gamble created such a commercial, because at the end of the day, you know, it's like you have to understand what we are going through as a people. It's not all fun and games. You know, I know you see black athletes, you see black superstars and all that good stuff. At the end of the day, it's a dangerous world we live in, and not just for blacks. I'm not saying that other races don't, you know, get systemic racism and, you know, discriminations and all that other stuff. But unfortunately, we are leading the pack with that horrible, horrible statistic, and enough is enough. So I'm going to pull up the story about the Procter and Gamble thing. OMG. So Procter and Gamble had this really great idea. And what they did was they had a commercial basically showing unity. Let's talk about the stuff that we really need to talk about. Let's talk about the necessary conversations. And, you know, it's like some people are okay with it and some people were not. The people who are really making a big deal about it, unfortunately, are people who do not look like me. So they're saying, "Oh, this is the most racist commercial ever. This is not real. This is making white people look like devils and making us look bad." Well, I hate to say this, but some of your kind made you look bad already. I mean, when you have people like cops going online making lewd, racist remarks, of course people are going to think that you're bad, because this is law enforcement saying all this horrible stuff. You know, you have law enforcement talk about when your daughter brings home a Negro boy, and it had a picture of a woman dipping her daughter in the tub. Like, are you kidding me? You don't think that we should not be afraid? You don't think that we shouldn't worry about what's going on? You don't think that we should care that our kids are actually being poached out there, that our kids are actually have modern day lynching in front of their face? I mean, I hate to say this, but my son, who is going to be turning 15 next month, he had a hood on. He had like a little, it's from his school too. Here's a catch. It's from his school. I had the school's name on there, and it was a hoodie, and all the kids had the hoodie. Well, two situations happened from that. He was like, "Mom, I want to run to Acme." I was like, "Go ahead." You know, he took his little skateboard, and I had to tell him, wait, Jay, come here. And he was like, "What?" And I was like, "Baby, take your hood off." And he was like, "But Mom, it's starting to drizzle." I said, "Take your hood off." And he just looked at me like he wanted to cry. He was like, "Why can't my friends wear it and I can't?" That killed me. Can you understand as a mother how I felt telling my child that he had to take his hood off because I wanted to make sure he came home from Acme safely? You know, and, you know, it wasn't pouring down rain. I wouldn't let my child go out in the pouring rain, but it was like little mist, you know, and he wanted to put his little hood on to keep his little hair, because we call him Pretty Ricky, and to make sure he was okay. But at the end of the day, I was scared to death to let my child, who doesn't get into any trouble whatsoever. He goes to school, he plays sports, he's active in the church, he does everything that a mother would want their child to do. But unfortunately, the way things are in America, they'll make him out to be some hood, you know, some thug. Oh, he was going to go rob Acme with a machete. Like, seriously? So it hurt my heart to tell my 14-year-old, soon-to-be 15-year-old son that I want to see him graduate from high school. I want to see him have his own children. I want to see him grow and let me be proud of all that he's going to do. And in order for him to do that, you have to take that hood off. That hurt. And especially since our neighbors, okay, their kids can wear hoods and no one says anything to them. No one doesn't care if a white child walks around with a hood on. They don't care. He can have every missile, every weapon and of destruction on him, but they won't care. They'll look at another child before they look at him. And that's the unfair certainty that's going on right now in our country. So People have made a huge thing about the Procter and Gamble advertising, and it was called Procter and Gamble, While Black is Beautiful. And then white people were like, oh, we're going to boycott it. Well, newsflash, the black dollar is way more dominant than yours, but that's another story. So in doing so, they're trying to force Procter and Gamble to get rid of this ad, and Procter and Gamble said, we ain't doing that. No, this is a necessary conversation that we have to have as Americans. Why is it that this child could do this, but this child cannot? Why is it this child could play in the park, with a BB gun, but this child gets shot dead? How come this child could jump double dutch in the street, and this one gets shot because they thought she was stealing something? Why is that happening? So yes, Procter and Gamble, bravo, because you guys did something that a lot of other companies would not do, and a lot of other companies wouldn't do it because they're scared. They're scared of the dollar. They're afraid that people are going to not support them. But don't you know that by doing that, you're going to have a bunch of people that's not,
you failed, you big dummy.
Exactly. Oh my gosh, they just played the You Failed the Big Dummy thing for the show. Hilarious. But you want to make sure that every child feels loved and every child feels like they have something going for them. So we have people streaming. We have hey, how are you on live? My UK people streaming from Spreaker, thank you so very much. Thank you for sharing it. And we appreciate you for that. So we're going to go ahead and play the Procter & Gamble commercial. And you tell me what you think about it. Okay? I know my radio listeners heard it, but for those who are on live, you may not have heard all of it. So they were basically saying that the woman was saying, you're not pretty for a black girl, you're beautiful, period. A young lady, she was telling her son, in the event that you're pulled over, he was like, Mom, I'm a good driver. And she's just scared because, again, you can't say nothing to these cops anymore. There was a video of this woman who grabbed the cop's gun, and not only did she grab the cop's gun, she pointed at the cop, then fought the cop. They got the gun back. She got in trouble because her dog defecated on public street. She scooped the dog poop up and threw it at the cop. And all they did was, not say all they did, it was horrible that they slammed her, but they slammed her and put her in cuffs and took her into custody, her and the dog. But did you hear what I said? She picked up some poop, threw it in the officer's, the face of the officer, as she grabbed his gun and pointed it at the officer, and they were able to get it from her. what I'm not understanding is if someone has their hands up and they're like, okay, you got me, I'm sorry, I'm surrendering, and they're bending down. You're still shooting them in the back of their head. You're still shooting them in their back. You're still shooting them in their neck, their face, point blank range. Something it terribly is wrong. So, like I said, it's just sad to see what's going on right now in society. It's just sad to know that we've come to this point right now where we have to have this conversation, and that a company had to actually have this conversation for us. So, someone just commented about it. Yes, it is, Sylvia. Yes, it is very, very sad. It's horrible, and I mean, it's really sad. I'm answering her. Okay. So now what's going on is we're going to talk about addiction, and then we're going to close the show. So did you know that now 1 out of every 3 kids are suffering from addiction, and out of those kids, they are saying that 1 overdoses and dies. So, back in the day, I was really a square, so I can't say I'd done anything. But back in the day, I think the most that they had was shrooms and weed and those little candy dots, and they made them into hallucinogens and what have you. And though they were horrible, you weren't dying from them. You may have been paranoid. Some people never came back right, but at the end of the day, they still had an opportunity to live and possibly change their lifestyle to have a better quality of life. But now you have stuff like crocodile and devil dust and all kinds of other crap that when our kids are using them, they're not only causing catastrophic physical changes, but the deaths are absolutely horrible. The deaths are so bad that they can't even recognize some of these kids when they find them. It's so bad that their insides are totally burnt up to smithereens, where they can't even find the actual cause of death because the drug did such a horrible work on their system. It was so bad that people, when they use these drugs one day, the next day they look a totally different person, the third day they're dead. So what I want you to do is go to Amazon and go to Amazon or www.LaSeanshelton.com and order your copy of How About a Lifestyle Change. This book, I promise you, will change your life. It is a 3-part book. It tells you about the issue that you're going through. It tells you that you realize and recognize it. What do I do now? And the third part is how to sustain it. So as a counselor, I was a counselor for 15 years, in which I was able to work with people on a federal level, the state level, the local level, and we were able to find very creative ways to help people stay clean. We were able to find creative ways to make sure that people have opportunities like you and me to go ahead and, stay clean and not die from these drugs, because now all these drugs are manufactured, they're synthetic. I mean, the weed isn't even real weed anymore. You got Kush, Hydro, underwater sperm, all kinds of crazy weeds that they made for people to smoke. And the only thing they're doing is smoking chemicals. I'm talking about rat poisoning. I'm talking about formaldehyde. I'm talking about animal tranquilizers. I'm talking about any and everything they could get their hands on. And why? For the power of the buck. So what ends up happening is when your child or your loved one is using these drugs, they go out of their mind and you can't talk to them. You can't change it. They have to want it for themselves. But if you put this book, How About a Lifestyle Change, in their hand and let them know you're there for them and let them read it on their pace and have discussion with it, it's going to help. Before we close, we had a bunch of people who said, they had a loved one that had a drinking problem. After reading the book, they were able to talk things out and make things work between them. They were able to save their marriages. That was Maria Rand. So, again, this book has a lot of good nuggets in it. I hope that you all can identify and work with it. But we are about to close our show tonight. We will be back next week to talk about more of the calamities of Trump. Okay? I'm telling you. I can't make this stuff up. I swear I wish I was a comedian. I wish I was on Saturday Night Live. I know they're going to find more footage because since Spicer's gone, Spicy Man, I know Melissa McCarthy has to find some new material. But with all this stuff going on in the White House right now, I'm pretty sure, Boo, that you can find a lot of different things. So Until then, let's just let this resonate. We're talking about fake news against real news. We know that fake news is news that doesn't sing the songs of Trump, and real news is the ones that do. Tommy Loren, how she was so against Obamacare, she would call it, instead of the Affordable Care Act, and how she wants to dismantle it from the floor up. And yet and still, she was on Obama. She was on there because she was 24 years old on her parents' insurance.